I did promise to make a breakdown video on something about Knuckles since part 4 to 5 hit, so rather than making a separate breakdowns for both videos, let's combine it into one mini breakdown video covering all hidden details you may have missed in something about Knuckles. Starting off in part 4 with the base we saw in the mountain several times in something about Knuckles, but we never get to see it in its full glory. Well, here we do see it. Tails begins explaining how it all began, and there's a lot of people that are friends with the MASH team that do make cameos here, so I'll show some tweets on screen. These are all I could find. And moving on, after Sonic does stop the bear, we can see some more details. Like right here, Amy is with Techno Canary, who's from the Fleetway comics, meaning that this world of Sonic likely takes place in an alternate version of the Fleetway comics. Thanks to Liam for the help right here. Also, I found it pretty interesting how Sonic and Cream both have armor plates, whereas the others don't. Of course, Cream has Koopa shells, I believe, as armor plates, and Sonic has actual armor plates, but it's an interesting detail. Moving on, we see Tails in his workshop, and what is interesting is how half of the screen is covered in darkness. Now, of course, this could resemble Tails just overworking himself, but what is that button for? An upgrade? Could it be for something darker? Now remember, we did see a similar tease to this in something about Amy, where there was some crystal being worked on in the background of Tails' workshop. This is further supported later, but we will come back to this point. Sonic tries to confront the Baron earlier before they could all attack him, and we see what the Baron's face actually looks like, which is the one that we saw in part 2 of Something About Knuckles. So this plot point was planned way back then. Finally we hear Sonic's voice, and it is actually the same voice actor from Something About Amy Sonic. Another fact, the voice actor for Baron here is actually the composer for a lot of MASH OST. He also composes music for Meat Canyon, I believe, so link in description to his website. So Baron has a chat with Sonic, and I think the most important detail that comes from this is how Baron uses a drill to find the Chaos Emerald, which unlocks some ultimate power within it. Trust me, we will come back to this. Anyways, Baron describes how a crack within an egg needs to be formed to release its full potential, and this beautiful scene is displayed. After that, the Baron reveals that he has the Titan within him, and with that, we move on to part 5, which continues directly after the previous. After the Baron reveals himself as the Titan Possessor, we see what really happened after Eggman went rogue. He destroys his robots, and let's play a game of Guess Who's in That Frame. If you got Metal Sonic, you would be correct, but it is interesting that Metal Sonic is canon to this. I mean, comparing this to Chapter 1, we didn't get much characters, but now we have a huge expansion of characters. Okay, moving on. Sonic takes pity on Baron and finds a cure for the Baron's curse. Here we see a couple of drawings and only one I can clearly make out, which is a crystal that we saw. There's also some rotten eggs resembling the love for eggs that the Baron had. The Baron tricks Sonic, and we see another change in art styles. The emeralds pop out of the Baron's eye sockets and enter Sonic's eyes. Sonic goes Titan mode and destroys Tails' mech, and let's pause for a second. Now this does explain why we see new mech for Tails in the present day, but why is it changed? Why did we go from a flying helicopter to a drill geared to the brim with weapons? Could it be that after Tails found out about the powers of the emeralds he was searching for one himself? Because the drill that Tails uses is very identical to the machine that we had seen the Baron use in the flashback. Anyways, Tails runs away and the animation here is in top notch. Like right here, there's this entire running scene and it's just amazing because you can really feel the emotions coming through with Tails and the close zoom in and all the teardrops. The animation ends with Amy exclaiming, "Holy shit," which is probably all of our reactions, but notice how Knuckles just stares uncannily. That's odd. But for now, that's where we stop, since part 6 will most likely come out later on, and that's all for the breakdown. I'll see you later in my next video, and I hope you enjoyed.